Once upon a time, in a distant village, there lived a hardworking farmer named Kola and his cheerful wife, Jinika. They lived a simple happy life even though they didn't have much. Kola farmed on leased land, and every month he had to pay a big part of his earnings to the landowner. Jinika was a lovely pretty woman. Even though her husband didn't have enough, she never pressured him. She tried as much as possible to stay away from bad friends. And to crown it all, she loved her husband, even though she was smarter than him. One evening, Jinika had an idea. Kola, she said with a clever glint in her eyes, why don't we clear a bit of the forest at the end of the village and farm on that land? Then we won't have to pay rent to anyone. Kola thought about it and agreed. The very next morning, with a sharp machete in his hand, he set off to the forest to find the perfect spot. He soon found a piece of land with rich, dark soil and a stream nearby, perfect for watering crops. But there was one problem: an enormous gigantic old tree stood right in the middle. It looked rotten and ready to fall, and Kola worried it might collapse and ruin his crops. So, he raised his cutlass and struck the tree with all his might. Suddenly, with a terrifying growl, a strange creature leapt out of the branches. The creature was an ugly-looking witch. She had wild, white hair, a tattered dress, and bony, shaking limbs. Her face was as pale as a storm cloud, and her teeth looked sharp and crooked. Kola dropped his cutlass with so much fright in his eyes, he was already shaking. Who gave you the nerve to cut down my tree? The witch roared, stomping her foot so hard that the ground shook. Kola gulped, his voice shaking. I didn't know you were living here, he stammered. I just wanted to clear this land for farming. This tree is so old, I was afraid it would fall on the crops I want to cultivate on this land. The witch's fiery eyes narrowed. This tree has been mine for 5 generations, along with this land. If you want to farm here, you have to give me something in return. You can't possess my possession without giving something in return, Kola frowned. But, I came here so I wouldn't have to pay rent. I work very hard, which, it doesn't seem fair to give you most of what I grow. The witch scratched her head, deep in thought. Then, with a toothy grin, she said, all right, then. Let's make a deal. I don't want your money. I'll take 1/4 of your harvest each season. The rest is yours. Kola didn't like the sound of that, either. 1/4 of my crops. That's too much, he protested. The witch huffed. Fine. How about this? I'll take all the crops that grow underground, and you can have everything that grows above ground. She seemed quite pleased with herself, certain that she had outwitted him. But Kola quickly realized the demon didn't know much about farming. All right, he agreed with a sly smile. It's a deal. The following season, Kola and Jinika planted rice, a crop that grows above ground. When the rice was ready for harvest, the witch appeared, expecting her share. Where's my harvest? She demanded, glaring at the golden field. Your share, Kola smiled. You asked for the crops that grow underground, so the rice above ground is mine. The witch's face twisted in confusion and anger. Realizing she'd been tricked, she stamped her feet. Next season, I'll take what grows above ground. You can keep what grows underground, she said, feeling quite clever. Kola nodded. Agreed. That evening, Kola told Jinika about the demon's new demand. Jinika smirked. Then this time, we'll plant yams. They grow underground, so they'll all be ours. The plan worked perfectly. Kola and Jinika harvested all the yams, leaving the witch nothing but leaves. The witch returned, furious. You've tricked me again, she howled. Next season, I want everything, the crops that grow above ground and the crops that grow underground. Kola hesitated, but he agreed to the witch's terms. Back at home, Jinika had another clever idea. Let's plant melons this time. They grow on the ground, but neither above it nor below it. She chuckled, her eyes gleaming with mischief. A few months later, melons covered the field, and the witch returned expecting a rich harvest. She looked around in confusion, her gaze landing on the round, green melons. "Where is my harvest?" she asked, scratching her head. Kola grinned. "As you requested, the crops that grow above and below the ground are yours. But these melons, they grow on the ground, so they're mine." The witch groaned, realizing she had been outwitted again. "You're too clever for me, Kola," she sighed. Turning to leave, she mumbled, "Hard work really does pay off, maybe I should try farming myself." But Jinika felt sorry for the witch. "Wait," she called after her. "You've been here for generations, and we cut down your tree house. Why don't you stay and help us farm? You can share in our harvest instead of trying to trick us." The witch's eyes brightened. "You mean it? I will be happy to help. I'll water the crops each morning and evening and keep the field safe." From then on, the witch worked hard alongside Kola and Jinika, and they all shared in the bountiful harvest together.